Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called 10 Things to Know About Everyday Life in Finland. I think this is going to be very interesting because I do not know anything about life in Finland, and least of all everyday life, but I'm very intrigued how to know how the other half lives. So let's check it out and comment, like and subscribe.
In this video, I will tell you about 10 small but still, I think, important details about everyday life in Finland. These things are nothing revolutionary, but I hope that keeping them in mind will make your relocation to Finland just a bit smoother. What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. If this is the first time we're meeting, my name is Oliver and I'm a master's student in economics at Aalto University in Finland. And on this channel we talk about education and early career development, specifically here in Finland. So if you are new here, do consider subscribing. Before we jump into today's topic, let me thank Aalto University for sponsoring this video. As I mentioned, I've done both my bachelor's and master's degrees at Aalto University, and I really can't recommend enough that you guys apply to Aalto in the next application period. More information about studying at Aalto through the links in the description box below. So, 10 things about everyday life in Finland. I really want to outline this by acknowledging that some of these might feel self-evident to some of you. However, these are the 10 things that people get confused about most commonly, and I just wanted to share them with you so that you can get a smooth start for your life in Finland. Alright, so
I think that depends, obviously, if you're from whatever place, everything's going to be very foreign because it's a different culture, so nothing goes sort of unsaid.
The first thing to keep in mind is that in Finland, you actually have to wave at a bus to make it stop. I know. This is revolutionary stuff right here. You know, this is just one of those super small details that will either be a complete no-brainer or alternatively come as a complete surprise when you experience it for the first time.
So it's in the middle. I know that some places do this. I'm surprised that Finland does it though.
So, while being a minute detail in your everyday life, I've heard way too many stories of people not realizing this because buses in their home countries stop at every bus stop, regardless of being indicated to do so or not. Also, a funny cultural detail, trams in...
I want to know, actually, I want to see this in video. How do they do it? Do they go, or do they go, meh? I don't know what sort of hand movements, I don't know, sort of...
Helsinki, do stop at every stop. If the...
It just occurred to me, you're just praying, please stop!
driver sees people waiting at the stop. This is usually taken for granted, and indicating a tram to stop actually looks really funny for many, as it is automatically assumed that trams stop regardless.
I would assume
the second thing to keep in mind is that the public transportation system in Finland is very well managed, and it usually works like clockwork. Again, this feels really weird for me to mention out loud, but I've heard many people talk about the fact that in Finland you can actually trust the public transit timetables. So if the timetables say that a bus is supposed to arrive to your stop at 11:23, it should be there at 11:23 sharp. Not sooner, not later. Often, if a bus or a tram is late even for a minute, you can see the locals dig up their phones from their pockets and try to check out for the reason for the delay. So not only do you get the timetable...
These people wouldn't survive a day in, the New York subway, for instance, or a lot of other public transportation systems in the world. I think Germany, also gets complaints about the delays, but this is crazy.
For each bus, tram,
down to the minute.
Metro, printed at each stop. Many local public transit companies also have a native mobile app that has updated information on each shift so that you are always aware of the updated schedules for them. For example, if they are delayed due to bad traffic or an accident. Moving down the list to topic number 3, please be aware that in Finland we actually eat lunch and dinner quite early in the day, and this impacts the opening hours of restaurants around the country. So, starting with lunch, it usually starts quite early, with many lunch places opening already at 10:30 a.m. and closing
Wait.
their kitchen around 3 p.m. Usually the busiest
I'm sorry, but 10 a.m. That's breakfast. What? Do they wake up at 3 a.m.?
hours are between 11 to 1 o'clock when most people head out for lunch. This goes to both work life and university campus restaurants, and you usually see the most amount of people heading for lunch at a university directly after the morning lectures that end around 11 or 12. All right,
Yeah,
the next
that's
thing
early,
to take into account
but-
is that Finland has
Early, but I think 12. It's more as in, oh, your term is really early. It's 12, but not 10 or 11. That's way too early.
some of the best quality tap water in the world.
Oh, is it because
and
it
there
comes
is
from from the glaciers? I would assume.
no reason to buy bottled water to your home or to go unless you want it with bubbles or as flavored.
Oh,
Not only is
sparkling.
the Finnish tap water completely tasteless, it is also such high quality that there is no need to decalculate.
I'm sorry, but water should be tasteless. If water tastes something that's not, water tastes like water. If it's not tasting like water, I wouldn't drink it.
Or filter it before drinking. In practice, this means that Finnish grocery stores don't usually even sell these large water jugs because there's simply no market for them. Most of the water sold in stores is actually either sparkling or flavored. And a good rule of thumb is that bottled water is as expensive as soft drinks, and thus it does not really make any sense to buy water when you can get it for free from your home or from any public taps.
If you like sparkling water, though, I mean, sometimes you just want the bubbles, you want the sparkling, so...
If you like to drink a lot of water during the day, a good tip is to always keep your own water bottle with you so that you can fill it up at any public tap.
That's a good advice. It doesn't matter if you're in Finland, carry your water bottle wherever you are.
For example, carrying a water bottle at the university just makes more sense as it prevents you from buying expensive bottled water
and more
throughout
plastic.
the day. Also good to know, since tap water is so cheap in Finland, it is normal that restaurants and cafes don't charge anything for it. For example, if you want to fill your own bottle with water after having a cup of coffee, you can usually just ask the barista if they would be so kind to fill your bottle for you. In some rare cases, they will not do so, but also a lot of the times, cafes also have their own tap that you can use as much as you want after making a purchase. All right, moving on to the next thing, it is good to know that alcohol in Finland can only be sold in stores between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m.
Is that to prevent drinking?
So Finland has some of the strictest alcohol laws in Europe.
That's
and
crazy.
This time restriction is one of those things that get a lot of people in trouble, especially during these long summer evenings when you simply want to get a bottle of wine, but then you notice that damn, it's already 9:05 and it is impossible to buy alcohol outside of restaurants. In addition, it is important to know that grocery stores are only allowed to sell alcoholic beverages that are at maximum 5.5% strong. Everything else is sold by the government-owned company called Alko, which has a national monopoly in strong alcoholic beverages. This means that all wines, spirits, and, for example, strong beers have to be bought from Alko. All right, the next thing that is good
Oh my god, I thought that wine was one of the ones that you could get at a supermarket. You can? So is only beer? They only sell beer? I thought wine had low alcoholic content, but probably I'm wrong.
No, is that most grocery stores have product names usually only in Finnish and Swedish. This is something that you should really take into account before going into a grocery store or a market for the first time, as it might be somewhat confusing to find the right products that you are looking for. Here, my recommendation is simply that you should be proactive and ask for help from the staff, at least.
Oh, I would assume just get your phone has a translator app, but macaroni, well, happy to report, it's the same in Finnish.
During the first few times in order to get familiarized with the local products. Next up, I've heard that many people, and especially those who are used to using Amazon, find quite irritating that home deliveries that do not fit through your mail slot are not, in general, delivered to your door.
Oh my god!
Instead, in Finland, it is more common that deliveries are either sent to your closest post office or to these automated post parcel lockers that you can usually find in your closest grocery store or market. While some people find this a bit frustrating, I personally find that these lockers are actually really handy because they are not only for receiving packages, but also for sending them. This means that if you have to send a package or perhaps return a product from an online store, you do not have to queue at your local post office, but rather you can simply do this at the closest grocery store.
That's so efficient.
Right. So the next thing to know about everyday life in Finland is that cash is used less and less in Finland, and in many places cash is actually no longer even accepted. Just as an example, some of the campus restaurants at Aalto University no longer accept cash, but rather the only ways to pay are by card or contactless payment services like Apple Pay. Do note that some international cards and many contactless payment services do not work in Finland, and not using a card or a service provided by a bank operating in Finland can sometimes restrict your payment methods. This is also one of the reasons I really recommend that if you are staying in Finland for longer than a year, you should consider getting a Finnish.
Okay, but I'm thinking as a tourist, then what happens if I can't pay? I want to stay washing the dishes. What's happening then?
Bank account.
They don't take cash. They don't take anything.
Local debit or credit card. These will allow you to
or they have a Venmo, they're Finnish Venmo, and you have to sort of Venmo the money.
Use the local payment services, which in turn will make your everyday life just a bit easier.
Of course, if you're staying there.
The next thing on this list is that in Finland, tipping is not mandatory nor expected.
Even when they refill your water bottle?
In Finland, servers are paid a decent hourly wage, and a service charge is already added in hotel and restaurant bills. Normally, Finnish people tip only if they wish to appreciate an exceptionally good service or a delicious meal. However, this is not obligatory, and no one will be offended if you do not do so.
They're gonna give you
the last thing on this list is that in Finland we celebrate a ton of different holidays around the year. So many of these national or religious holidays impact how different stores and businesses are open. These holidays.
Hold on. Religious, but I thought they weren't that religious, as a whole. So how come they're celebrating religious holidays?
Which are in general called pyhäpäivä in Finnish, usually mean that either businesses are closed for the day or they have shorter opening hours. This means that it is recommended to do all shopping prior to the holidays themselves, as getting a bottle of wine or, other necessities can turn out to be a challenge, as stores might not be open at all. Whether or not businesses stay open depends on the specific holidays. And you can find more information on the different national holidays from infofinland.fi. I have the link in the description box below. I at least recommend that you check out the most commonly celebrated holidays and mark them in your calendars just to make sure that you don't miss them out. Alright, that is it. These were the 10 things that I think you should keep in mind in your day-to-day life in Finland. While some of these might have been total no-brainers to you, I still hope that you learned something new during this video. Please let me know in the comments so that I can make adjustments to my future videos. Anyways, that is it for this video. If you found this content helpful, do give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend who might be interested in the topic. If you didn't like what I had to say, the thumbs down button works as well. Also, if you have anything to ask about this or any other topic related to studying or working in Finland, please write them down in the comment section down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Okay, so I think there's a lot of surprising things about Finnish people that, he was explaining. But I'm stuck in the actual, the money thing. Like, so was the money thing. The cash, I get it. I love that they use their, a lot of places do not even take cash, which I love. But I'm concerned about, because again, he's thinking with the perspective in mind of someone that's moving to Finland, and yes, great. But I'm thinking as a tourist, and I'm a little scared because, okay, so they don't take cash. No, we don't take cash. Only debit or credit card. Great, incredible, amazing. But then you're telling me a lot of places do not, the payments of universal payment services that work all over Europe or even all over, they're kind of all the same, all over the world. They don't really take those, so they have their own banking system. And it's only sort of, you need to have, it doesn't really work with other banks. You need to have a Finnish bank. So, okay, so I'm a tourist. What do I do then? Do I need to what contact people? Hey, can you pay? I'll reimburse you. Like to strangers, I don't think Finnish people will love that. Just strangers being, hey, can you pay me? And then I don't know. No, then I'll pay you in cash. I mean. No, they probably they don't want the cash either because no, you're giving me money and you're giving me cash and it's a hassle because again, nobody takes this. So I'm concerned as a tourist, then what's happening then, I'm guessing maybe he didn't mention this, but maybe they have a Venmo service and obviously it's not called Venmo, but it's called whatever, Finnish Venmo. And then maybe the place has it and maybe they're, well, again, if you don't have a Finnish card, you don't have an account with a Finnish bank, then you do that and that's how you pay. I don't know, I'm concerned. Actually, I would be extremely concerned now if I ever go to Finland, because even before consuming anything at a restaurant, at a store, before buying anything, before making any purchase, my first question would be, hey, do you take this card? Because I'm not gonna be I can't think of anything more awkward than being stuck in a foreign country without the means to pay, and not because you don't have the money, just because they don't take whatever it is that you have. So it's concerning to me a lot. It's, oh my God, I don't know, would just be wondering, I'd be wondering that, I'd be super stressed. And I don't know, there's maybe a few places that I wouldn't, I don't know, I don't want to go inside. No, I have to ask first, hey, do you take this and this and that? Because again, how do people pay? Please, this is my more present question about this. The other, I think, is the home delivery situation is really funny. I think as, from the American perspective, yes, Amazon is such a huge part of everyone's lives. Generally, I know that not everyone, but mostly I think it's just, everyone gets things delivered, and not just Amazon, I think just any other store, but it's just, that concept of people, hate, I think, again, everyone generalizing a little bit, but more, let's say almost everyone just hates going places and again, buying stores, physically. But I can see why. I think, I'm making fun of this a little bit because like, oh my God, I love going to a store. But I think a lot of people is just not practical, either because you don't have I don't have the time, and maybe I don't, I don't own a car, and the distances are really long, and usually I think it's about convenience. I think it's because obviously if you are somewhere, whatever, in what city, and then obviously how convenient it is that I can just buy anything, all over the country, all over the world, and I can just get it at the doorstep in my house in, I don't know, 2 days or even the same day. Some things have 1 day shipping. So I understand the concept of how efficient everything is and how I think comfortable you get. But I know, I don't know. I think I can see sort of I can see how efficient it is, obviously. But I think to me, this is a little bit more efficient. I just like the idea of, I mean, not the postal sort of service, because I know it's, you have to queue and there's always people and whatever. But in this case, I like the little machine, they have lockers, and you can just either ship whatever, and there's no, you don't have to go to the office and do, whatever, there's a line and there's people. No, you can just do it, and you can, I'm sending this and whatever, that's it. And I can get things delivered. I would assume sort of a PO box similar to that. I love that idea. Oh my God, yes, more of that. But again, I can see why in the US that will be seen as more of a hassle, because I have to go somewhere else. In the other case, it's just in my doorstep. I open my door and there it is. There's my package. So I kind of get it. Although sometimes if you live in an apartment, there's a lot of things. I think this is more about suburban areas in which that happens. But also if you have neighbors, well, everyone has neighbors unless you live in the middle of nowhere. But the problem with that system is, as good as it is, yes, you open the door and there it is, what you order, incredible. But, a lot of times people have, someone steals your packages, which again, not necessarily it's a problem as in this is an actual problem. No, but sometimes, it can happen. So, there's someone stealing your packages. This problem is solved. But again, I understand why, the distances are longer. This would require you to go and travel somewhere else, which defeats the whole purpose of ordering, right? So, I'm ordering for this to get delivered because I don't want to go somewhere else. So, again, I understand the idea, and I understand why the American system is, well, I'm gonna call it the American system. I know it's not the American system, but I'm going to say that that's it. And yes, I understand why people prefer that, and that why something like this probably would be less popular. Although, the actual idea of sending whatever it is that you want to in the little machine, in the little locker, I think that one actually would be quite popular. Although maybe it's the same as in, I don't know, some people had the little, the little mail boxes and whatever. Are those being, I don't know if that still works, if that system still works. No, because if you have a big package, obviously, again, I'm not sending a letter, I'm sending something big, so I can't, throw it in my mailbox. But, actually, great idea. Finish the A with that. Love it. The other, it's, the actual thing about the alcohol situation. I understand why they do this. In theory, again, I understand it because it's, I would assume, obviously, they don't outright tell you this, but it's, to reduce drinking. Although, I don't know how, again, it works for them, but I would love to know the statistics of, historically, has this actually, lowered the alcoholism rates in this country? Because to me, it's just, I do not know, but I imagine, an alcoholic is not going to be, without its fix, right? So it's not going to be, oh, it's 9 a.m. Well, no, before, because I think it opens earlier. So let's say 7 a.m. So it's 7 a.m. and the alcoholic person is not going to be, oh no, I didn't got, my liquor. So it's 7 a.m. I have to wait 2 hours until the store opens, and then, I'm going to get it. So that's going to encourage me to drink less. Disencourage me to drink. I don't think that's how it works. So I think it's just, again, I would assume that, people that again, I'm thinking of, because they want to reduce those rates, not thinking as a normal person, someone without any alcoholic, problems, which are just whatever, I'm going to a party, or, I'm having a gathering, and I forget to get wine, beer, whatever. And then you have to wait because maybe then it's going to be after work, and then I have to, pick up other things, and maybe I want to do this a little bit earlier because I have to do other errands. I have to run some errands throughout the day, so I would love for this to be open at 8 a.m. so I can buy the liquor, and that's it. Again, that's another situation which probably does not happen that often, but I would assume the alcoholic without the drink that wants to get a liquor bottle at 7 a.m. that doesn't really happen that often either, because I assume that people that have this problem, alcoholic issues, they probably already have the liquor bottles at home because they probably buy it by the case. Actually, it just occurred to me, this would probably encourage people to buy more, because if I know that I'm not going to be able to get the alcohol that I need, for parties, or just because, in social situations, so just because you want to have a glass of wine, as a normal, again, not normal, but people without any problems, but you want to have a glass of wine, middle of the week, or you want to have a beer, I would assume, instead of being sort of, again, looking as an alcoholic person, just being, where's the liquor store? How come it doesn't open? I assume that most people just go, okay, whatever, I'm going to buy 8 bottles of wine in just one single go, and I'm going to keep them at home, and I'm going to have them, in storage there, and I can just, I can just consume it as I go along my needs. But I don't have to constantly be, oh my god, when is the store open? Oh no, it's too early, it's too late, it's whatever. So I'm always going to have some sort of alcohol laying around, because again, I'm scared of, what if I have people over or whatever it is. So maybe that's why I think this is very this is a very first world problem. I'm assuming, because it's very, again, oh my god, alcohol is not, liquor stores are not open 24/7. What a problem to have. It's no. And I know that most places that doesn't really work 24/7 either, but my point is that the actual sort of prohibition, I think it's forbidden, it's closed, I think it makes you, I don't know, it drives up the actual need for them to have it. And again, it's probably a psychological thing, because maybe if you take the number of hours in which they're open, and you compare it to other places in other stores, it's probably going to be more or less the same. But I think it's just the idea of it's only sold in this specific store and all of that. I think it makes you more I need it. It drives up scarcity, but again, it's just maybe a psychological thing. And it's not, there's not really a difference if you compare it to other things. It's just, the way it's being presented to you, which again, interesting. The water thing, I love that they have the freshest water. He didn't mention it was because of the glaciers and because again they do they have glaciers actually? It just dawned on me. I have no idea they have glaciers. It's just something that I made up because I know it's very cold. So it's because it's very cold, my brain just went, oh, they must have glaciers, right? But I don't know if they have them. But I do know they're very cold, and again, it's cold, it's frozen, they have a lot of snow, they have a lot of lakes. So I would assume, well, that's where the water comes from. Usually places that have sort of this freshwater lakes. And again, glaciers, they have really good water, and they have tap water. It's fresh, it's good, it's not going to make you sick. It's actually quite good because again, it comes from the glacier that, it comes from the lake that comes from the glacier and whatever. It's just, if you ever had, it's great. I don't really see the difference though. To me, water tastes the same more or less, either there is bottled water or water that comes fresh from, the glacier from the lake. To me, water tastes more or less the same. It's not, sometimes it can taste a little bit, they have a mineral aftertaste if it's being treated, and I think that's maybe the difference, but you don't really get that with tap water. Tap water tastes, I don't know, it just tastes the same, it just tastes like water. But sometimes when it's being treated, maybe not with some filters and stuff, not specifically tap water in some places, I think it's the filter that makes, it has a mineral aftertaste, but I wouldn't call it bad, or I wouldn't call it stops tasting, it doesn't taste like water anymore. No, it tastes like water, but it has sort of, again, a mineral aftertaste that you can't place, but it's the minerals in it. And again, fresh water, the lake, the water from lakes that are usually, again, it's probably what they have over there. It's just, again, it's kind of like other types of water as well, in which they don't really have a taste, but it does, it's cold because, again, it comes from the glacier, so it's cold. But again, love that they have such fresh water. It's funny to me though that they don't really offer tap, bottled water. It's only tap. Because I would assume maybe, because some people are quite particular about this and they don't really know, I don't like tap water, even though you tell them, no, it's safe, and they know it's safe. But I know some people are weird about their water and they believe it tastes in one particular way. So it's no, I need my bottled water. And how come, okay, so Finnish people do not have that problem. Or maybe very rich people do, apparently, because it's really expensive. So if you want the bottled water because you feel the tap water apparently it's weird, then you're going to be prepared to spend a lot of money then. Because again, and I get why, it's to discourage you to stop, consuming the bottled water, because they have, we have it for free. So why would you spend more money? And it's good. But again, some people are particular about this. So it's also surprising to me though that they outright, even though it's really, really expensive, it's probably at some stores, but other stores outright do not sell them. So it's, oh my God, so I can't get bottled water anywhere. But again, I understand why. It's just because you can get water, whatever. But the sparkling one, it's good. I would actually, because I like sparkling water, I know, and well, the flavored water, not for every day, right? But again, because usually they add, not all the time, but they add some sugar and they add some other things. So it's not the healthiest thing for you to be drinking every single day. It's just clear water, what you should be drinking. But the sparkling one, it's interesting to me because I think, some people are fans, some people hate it. But if you're buying, the sparkling water, are Finnish people drinking this? Do they prefer the sparkling to the still water, tap water? Or is it more, no, sometimes you want one and sometimes you want the other, as in maybe, I don't know, throughout the day you're having your normal tap water, but maybe during meals you prefer sparkling. I would assume that's maybe a little bit, how it goes, but I would love to know the perspective of a Finnish person and the average sort of Finnish, because it's really interesting to me, how the sparkling versus tap water debate works. But yes, I love that idea because, again, I want to know. And ultimately, again, the bus thing, that was really funny to me just because he says, it's really weird, I think, for some people, the concept, you need to wait for the bus. Yeah, you need to wave at them, but again, it's sort of like I'm taking the cab. You sort of, I know, I'm just realizing, I have no idea what sort of hand signals you make, because I think maybe it's automatic, so I haven't really realized what do I do with my hands, what do I do with my fingers. I think it's just something that you do, and I actually haven't realized what exactly do you do when you're sort of calling up a cab. You go, no, I think it's like this actually. But again, did you wave at the bus? Did you say, do you go? I don't know. It's really funny because I thought Finnish being so, again, a very efficient country, even the bus, all the public transport system apparently works down to a T, down to the minute, down to the second. Even if it's just 1 minute late, people are start to be like, wait, what's happening? Is the apocalypse? So it's strange to me that the system that works so efficient and which everything runs so completely smooth, then why do they need to wave? I would assume they don't stop at every bus stop or at every stop. Then maybe that's why I'm thinking about this backwards, and maybe it's more efficient if they don't have to stop, because okay, why would I stop if I'm not, I don't have any passengers here? Then no, of course it's more efficient for me to just run over and continue my whatever it is that I'm going. So maybe that's why, and I'm going about this the wrong way. I think it's more efficient to actually, for them to know, no, do I have to stop or do I not don't need to stop, because I'm wasting time, right? Actually, I'm probably wasting a few seconds if I'm stopping and there's no one, again, I didn't have anything to do with this at this stop. But I don't know. It's just, there's always going to be someone at a stop. Well, not all the time. Yeah. I'm thinking, no, but every day, all the time, it's going to be, there's always going to be someone in at a stop, either that's getting in or getting out, but no, not necessarily. Especially I think because if the thing works so efficiently, there's always going to be one, either the bus or whatever it is. So it's probably they have fewer passengers, I think, by bus. So again, makes sense. So yeah, good to point for the Finnish. I'm thinking, they're doing this it's less efficient, but no, the more I think about this, the more I realize, no, it's actually more efficient the way they do it. So, good for them. But that's it for today, and I'll see you soon. Bye!